talking about conflict because we're all living with conflict, whether or not we are like these journalists covering it. And we're going to talk about what do we mean by conflict, what do we mean by cover, but we're all living, I believe, conflict. We're living in a moment of just extraordinary conflict in so many different levels. And so today the idea is to kind of look at it from the perspective of 4 reporters who have been in literally different fields covering conflict of different types. And what we would say in English, peeling back the layers to sort of go a bit deeper to see what is really conflict. Conflict itself is generating new layers of conflict, and we will try to talk about that as well.
Lo que ocurre es que el presidente nos llama chayoteros. Esa palabra en México significa que el poder da dinero, ¿no?, a un periodista para que escriba, acorde a los intereses de los poderosos, ¿no?
Outline all these conflicts that have been taking place in Guatemala over so many years, and I was very fortunate in that the family took us in, spoke to us, really opened up, and that the village itself reflected so many of the contradictions of Guatemala.
I had a question about the narrative of violence, because I've noticed that especially newspapers here in Mexico tend to be very explicit about violence. Regarding organized crime, you see blood or, that kind of things. And when covering violence in the States, it's not as explicit.
When I report, I try not to focus so much on the violence itself, but the impact of that violence and who's behind the violence. Try to explain it that way.
The way to think about change is that there's the article, and then there has to be a whole bunch of activists.
The other answer I have is I've made it my job to sort of get these stories into the mainstream, and for me that's success. But I guess to your question about who's a journalist, for me anyone who uses expression to hold power accountable, for me they're a journalist.